Hey y'all, welcome to Raw Recovery, the community. Today we are giving someone a voice who does not suffer from addiction. However, her life was shaped by the individuals who raised her who did suffer from addiction. We have Tanaya here, who is a strong mother. She's a daughter. She works full-time in the social service field as well. And she is here to share her story from the other side. Often we have the show about recovery from the person who's suffered from addiction, but today we are giving the other side of the story. We're letting the person who has suffered in silence get their story out. So if you would, welcome Tanaya.
What's happening, y'all?
What's going on, T? So thank you so much, one, for being on the show. Two, for being willing to share your story. It's not easy to be transparent in front of the world, one. But we've talked, we've had our own personal conversations, and the things that you have shared with me that you have endured, that you've overcome. I think it is important to give you this platform to speak your truth and to, let other people who are in your shoes and who have never dealt with someone who's dealing with addiction, and for us in recovery to see what it's like from your lens. So again, we thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Mm-hmm. How does it feel today, getting ready to walk into this conversation? What are your thoughts right now?
So my thoughts right now to have this conversation is it's a little difficult, right? Because for me, it's opening up a box that's kind of closed, but to share my story so people know my point of view and things that I've gone through and how I overcome it could be beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I completely agree. That's what we had this platform for. It's not that we're just telling our stories because we want people to feel sorry for us, but again, we're not the only ones who are dealing with it. And if someone's tuning in and they hear your story and see that you overcame, it's just a light for them. So yeah. So if you would, paint us a picture of your household. What was it like growing up in a household with two parents? As you and I discussed, but for context for the people, what was your parents' drug of choice was alcohol?
Correct.
Yeah. What was it like growing up in a household with two parents who suffered from an addiction?
Growing up, it was lots of parties, right? Family come over, food is cooked, summer barbecues, cousins in the backyard riding bikes and stuff, and of course, the adults are drinking, But as a kid, you just stay in your lane, you do what you do with your cousins. And it wasn't until I got older and that I realized that it was a problem, And what I mean by that is you come in as a child, as your parents, 3:00 in the afternoon is drunk, words is slurring and things of that nature, arguing between mom and dad, embarrassment, right? When friends come over, there was a lot of things that I wish didn't happen, right? Whether it was, and I'll never forget this time, my homegirl came over and my mom comes out of her bedroom and she exposes herself because she was under the influence, There's been plenty of nights I remember my mom hitting my dad, and my dad never hit my mom back, right?
Okay.
Many a nights, I remember my dad going to sleep in the car because he just couldn't take it, So it was different, right? You have a person that drinks, that is functional, goes to work, comes home, has his drink or what have you, and gets ready for work and goes to sleep. You know what I mean? He has his dinner, he goes to sleep. He don't want no smoke, whatever.
That was your dad's
That was my dad, right? Then you have my mom, who's an angry drunk, emotional, always wants to fight, right? Always wants to curse and is about that rah-rah, So it was a lot of turmoil. It was a lot of stuff that was going on that shouldn't be going on, There's been plenty of times I remember enough is enough. you know. So I would go in the kitchen because I knew where they had their stash. I would go in the kitchen and it was a gallon of Georgie vodka or the gallons or the little pints. What do? I empty it out, fill it up with water, place it back under the sink,
Real quick.
right? Never got questioned about it, right? They noticed, they never said anything. Went back out, same thing all over again, you know. So it was a lot, like dealing with that, and it just, as a child and then growing up as an adult, it was a lot to kind of like see, right? And for me, I knew I didn't want that for myself or what have you, right? Not knocking anybody that drinks. Of course, I had my occasional drinks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to knock anybody for whatever they do, but respectfully, you know?
Yeah.
Because I drink. I'm not going to be a hypocrite or anything like that, but I don't drink to black out.
Right.
I don't drink to abuse my child, right? I don't drink to verbally abuse anybody. And that's kind of how it was growing up with my mom. She was very verbally abusive.
Okay.
Once she was in her age, you know, and there wasn't that mother-daughter dynamic that I wish that there was because she was intoxicated most of the time, you know. Yeah, she worked or what have you, but there's been plenty of times that she's went to work and she's been drunk,
Right.
you know. I remember, this is when I first started driving. I was about 17, and the police came to the house because she worked for the police force, right? And they noticed that she was coming to drunk, intoxicated, because they would smell it on her breath when she went to go pick up her check. They would see her actions and stuff like that while she was working, and they took her to rehab. So I remember getting in the car with my dad, driving all the way to the Hamptons on the highway, scared as shit, or what have you, just for her to kind of get the treatment and better herself, right? You would think that works, right? Because you figure this is your job, you pay your bills, you got kids and things of that nature, that you would stop, right? As a child, that's how my mind works, right? Because I'm like, okay, she's going to stop, she's going to come home, she's going to be good. No, just continue the same cycle.
Was that her first time in rehab that you can remember?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, that was her first and her only time going to rehab because she was mandated to go.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But when you come home, you good for a little while, and then same habits, right? Because here you go, my dad is still drinking. He didn't have to go to rehab. Nobody questioned him about, you know, his drinking because he didn't go to work.
That's what she would say?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he didn't go to work drunk, right? And it wasn't until later on that my father would go to work intoxicated because he was in pain. And I didn't realize that until I had already moved out, right? I moved out when I was 22. And my father passed away when I was 23 to pancreatic cancer.
Okay.
You know, and that was like the worst 14 days of my life that I can remember. But he drank because he was in pain. You know what I mean? And nobody knew but him.
Okay.
So, again, going back, you know, there wasn't that mommy-daughter relationship, right? What I can say about my dad is even in his addiction, drinking and stuff like that, he kind of shaped me to be the person that I am.
Okay.
Right? To where you work and you do what you got to do for yourself. Don't depend on nobody early. You know what I mean? So that's the one, plus many other things,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That I can say that my dad has actually shaped me into being that career-minded person and to depend on self opposed to depending on other people while he was drinking.
I got you. I'm glad that you still have some fond memories of your father. With addiction, a lot of the things that happen can be overclouded, but you still are able to hold on to those things. But some of the things that you just shared, I was actually going to ask you about some of your embarrassing moments, and you were able to share those with us. And I was able to like literally put myself in your shoes, and I can imagine, bringing friends home, and so thank you again for. Wow, that's a lot for a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And my to bring me to my next question, were there times where you felt like you had to act older than what you were, like older than your age because your parents were inebriated and you had to hold the house down, things like that?
No, not really. I just felt as a child, I started working early. I just felt as a child I shouldn't have to have worked that early, because you figure you're 14, you want to have your own phone, you want this, you want that. And you know what I mean? Like, I like to dress. I like to have shoes and sneakers and stuff. And there was just certain things that they weren't going to provide me and my brother because of their addiction, right? Sometimes when you drink, that's all you focus on. You kind of become real selfish and just think about yourself and forget everybody else, I didn't feel like I had to grow up. I just felt like I had my own responsibilities, to where now I have to buy my own clothes, right? I'm buying my own food for the house. I'm paying my own phone bill and things of that nature or what have you. But I still remained my age to where I didn't have to. Now I got to go get 3 jobs at 14 because they're not paying the rent and stuff like that. There's no groceries in the house. It was more I had to worry about myself in that moment or in those moments.
You did share that your dad taught you some very good qualities that shaped you. With all of the memories that you have, are there any good memories that you can think about, and are those situations confusing to you? Because like even though your parents might have been inebriated and you could tell they were inebriated, were there any times that you still were enjoying their presence even during that time?
I mean, my house was always a party house growing up, so there's been plenty of times where it's been good vibes. They could have been drinking. 4th of July was always a good thing. My father would always have the fireworks. He would go and get wherever he went to get the fireworks. And me and my cousins and my brothers and the neighborhood kids would just kind of just be all around him. And he's throwing M80s, he's all the firecrackers and stuff like that, the ones that shoot in light colors and things like that. So every 4th of July, that was his thing. And we kind of look forward to all of that or what have you. So that and, trips to Bear Mountain, we used to go to every summer and things of that nature. He used to always take me and my brother to Harlem to kind of see his family and the Bronx because that's kind of where they're from or what have you. So there are some good memories. Not everything is bad.
Yeah, I hear you. Daddy's girl. Got you. Kind of? No?
Kind of.
Yeah,
kind of.
Okay. All right. Got you. Well, you stated that you were closer to your dad than your mom and then you also, from previous conversations that we shared in the past, for the people, you explained to me that your mom is currently sober.
So, yes and no.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, break it down.
So, yes, she stopped for a little while, but then you can always tell there's an uptick because you can see behaviors change, right? And patterns change and things of that nature. So, she goes through these kind of phases, right? And I kind of figure with her, it's more of an emotional trauma that kind of brings her back to needing a drink, but I don't get into that with her, but she goes up and down, so it's not like she remains sober for an extent period of time.
Okay.
It's kind of like sporadic. It may be 6 months here and it may be 4 months there. But the one thing that I will say this trip around is it's not as bad as it used to be.
Okay.
Right? When I say as bad is word slurring and stuff like that, you know, bumping into the walls, walking down the hallway of the apartment and things of that nature to where it's visible. You can tell that she's had a drink because, again, behaviors and patterns change or what have you. That's how I know she's off, you know.
Okay.
So
What would you say the difference is between loving someone and believing in them?
I mean, you can still love someone and believe in them, you know. But at the end of the day, a person has to want to believe in themselves. You know, you have to believe in yourself to know that enough is enough. You know, you at some point you have to change, right? Don't do it for me. Don't do it for your grandkids. Do it for yourself. Do it for your health or whatever the case may be. You know, to love someone is to understand them, right? And then believing in someone is believing that you can, right? You can stop. I'm going to be your cheerleader, you know, and try to support you any way that I can, right? But at the end of the day, that's a you thing. That shit ain't got nothing to do with me.
Respect. Would you say whenever you notice your mom in recovery or having a moment of sobriety, do you celebrate her, or has that become like draining? Has it run its course for you at this point? And respectfully, if so.
So it's a little bit of both, right? So if she mentions it, right, I will acknowledge it and I will celebrate it with her.
Oh, nice.
You know,
nice.
You know, there's been times where she'd be like, "Oh, it's been 8 months since I haven't had a drink." I'm like, "Well, shout out to you. You know what I mean? Let's keep it going and stuff like that, or what have you." You know, maybe me and my daughter will go and pick up some flowers, something like that, because I believe in celebrating people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not selfish. I'm gonna celebrate you, your birthday, your anniversary, and all types of stuff, or what have you. You know, holidays come around. Here's a little gift, or what have you. But then sometimes it does become like, okay, this is a broken record. Like, the fuck you gonna stop?
That's fair. And that's why we need. That's why I'm trying to get this out of you. How do you really feel? Like, you know, smiles and whistles. That's nice, but like, I'm sure you're angry. I'm sure you get frustrated.
I mean, and then, like I had said earlier, there's something that I don't want to display around my daughter, right? And she's seen it. You know what I mean? There's times when I would come home late from work and my daughter would call me and be like, "Oh, you need to come get your mother. She's acting crazy." So I already know what that means, you know? And it was very difficult because the house that I live in is my apartment and my mother lives with me, right? And I will always have to tell my daughter when she comes home with friends, make sure that the coast is clear before you bring them in, right? Because it's bad enough you may have to see that. I don't want them to witness it.
Respect.
Right? Because people talk, right? They don't need to see that. They don't need to go back and tell their mother, their grandmothers, their mamas what they saw in your house, right? And then they may bring it back to school.
How do you feel knowing that you have to have that conversation with your daughter? Because you've already lived it. You knew to make sure the coast was clear when you were a child. You know what I mean? So how does it feel to still have to like kind of like have that cycle still going? And excuse me if I may, because you've broken the cycle, right? So, but still kind of in a position to have to explain your mother. So I don't want to say the cycle's still going because the cycle isn't still going, right? So for clarity, I just wanted to fix that. But yeah, how does it feel to have those conversations with your daughter about your mom?
So I don't go into a lot of detail, but she physically sees it, right? When it was that stage or what have you. So it would just be like, Grandma just had a few drinks and things of that nature. Just go in your room, close the door, right? You got to go to the bathroom, go back in your room, close your door. If you want to have company come over, go in your room, close the door, right? I don't need you guys to be in the mix, right? But it's just more or less teaching her to be aware, be vigilant. If it's too much, especially in the summertime, go outside, go to the park, call me, right? I'll let you know when I'm on my way home so that I can make sure that you guys are good or what have you, because I don't need my daughter to experience a verbal abuse, right? Or just to be accused of something, because I dealt with it, so I know what I'm dealing with.
Respect. What do you wish people knew about being the child who always has to forgive? What do you want us to hear?
That it's not easy. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you feel it's something you did. You know what I mean? Like, is it your fault that that's their reason why they drink? Are you the reason why they're blacking out and disrespecting you and thinking that you're less than a person or what have you? You know what I mean? So I guess the abuser is to be more mindful about people's feelings. Words hurt. You know what I mean? Like, a lot. Like, I remember my mother used to, my weight goes up and down and stuff. You know what I mean? So there's been plenty of times where, my mom's called me a fat bitch and you think you better and this, that, and the other or what have you. So it's just a lot, So just to respect other people's feelings and how they may feel because you go and do some shit. Now everybody has to go through that with you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, if you, it's one thing to do what you do because whatever, right? That's you, but don't affect everybody behind it, because it spirals, right? Some people don't know how to recover from that, right? Some people are going to do the same thing that they see, right? As growing up as kids, you learn that behavior because it starts at home, right? So if you see your parents drinking, smoking crack or whatever it is, that may be you, right? Because something clicked and it's like, oh, they did it. They were fine. They were functional. You know what I mean? Let me hit this one time. Let me take this one drink. You know what I mean? Because now you're burying all that pain.
Wow.
Right?
That was
opposed to
very deep.
Being stronger, right? And for me, that was my case because I knew once I had my daughter, or once I thought about having kids, I wasn't going to be that. You know what I mean? Yeah, like I said earlier, I do drink. Not in front of my daughter.
Okay, respect.
But again, just to be respectful on how the other person or the people feel around you, right? And I know some people may not get it because they don't care, and that's just a battle that sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Thank you so much as a person in recovery, as a person who's hurt a lot of people. Thank you for letting us hear what that pain is really like, and that pain cut deep. So I can't apologize on behalf of all addicts, obviously, but I can definitely say for the people who are working on something, working on trying to turn our lives around, we hear you. And maybe somebody listening in will reach out to their family member and apologize for the things that they've been through, hearing the pain in your voice, because there's another sister out there just like you who's been through that. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. And so many times I'm listening to you that you've had to be strong during your upbringing, even still today as an adult. What's your definition of forgiveness today? What does forgiveness look like for T?
I don't know how to answer that, right? Because I feel like the damage is already done. You know what I mean? I'm of age to where that's just what it is. You know, forgiveness is just doing right? Doing just for you to do better. You know, an apology would be nice, but then it's like, well, what are you really apologizing for, right? Because you were dealing with something, right? And I think the older that I got, the more that I've become more involved in the field that I am in now. I can't say I understand 100%, but I get it. You know, everybody has a vice. Everybody suppresses their feelings differently, you know. But forgiveness is just you forgiving yourself and just doing better.
Respect.
You know, moving forward.
Respect. You mentioned being in the field. Life could have went either way for you. But we work together. You do phenomenal work. I've seen what you do. You have lived experience, and you take it and you bring it into the field. And people are definitely benefiting from the work that you do. So, again, kudos to you for continuing to push forward, sis.
Thank you.
So what shifted for you once you became a mother? I know you mentioned you don't like to drink in front of your mother, in front of your daughter. What shifted for you? What else shifted for you once you became a mother? What did you say you wanted to be now, like the woman you want to be now for her to see?
So for me, it's just being there, right? Being present and in the moment and having that bond, right? Me and my daughter, we have a great bond. She comes home and she spills all the beans.
Word. That's what's up.
She spills all the beans. She tells me how her day was without me even asking, because she knows that I'm going to ask and stuff. So it's just those moments that I enjoy, right? I enjoy those home cooked moments where we're cooking together or what have you, and we're just talking, you know, about life, you know, and that's the thing that I wish that I had growing up. You know what I mean? Like she has her own nail tech, but
she's the girly girl.
But before she had her own nail tech, we used to go and do our nails together. We still do pedicures together,
nice.
You know. And when we go to do and wash our hair, we do that together. So those are the things that
I love it.
I wish that I did more of with my mother, you know. So now that I have my own, this is my opportunity, you know what I mean, to be the better version of me, right? Because she needs to be better, right? And it's all love, you know. Like some I've heard some people don't love their kids. They just looking after them for tax returns, which is crazy, right?
Damn.
Like,
yeah. Like, damn.
Like they're not little pimps, you know?
That's some raw shit right there. Word. You hear? Yo, that's all right though.
You know, but just to be there to see her grow, right? To see her growth in school and to support her any way that I can, right? Just to have those conversations, even if she thinks I'm full of shit or she's like, yeah, whatever, Ma, you don't know nothing. And we still bonding.
Nice.
And I think that's, for me, that's a win either way.
Nice. How has motherhood, if it has, how has motherhood helped heal the inner child for the things that you've gone through, the things you've seen, the way you cater to your daughter, nurturing, things like that?
I mean, it's healed a lot because, again, like I said, there's some things that my dad did instill in me that I instill in my daughter. You know, respect, and the way you take care of yourself, right? Advocating for yourself and things of that nature or what have you. So the inner child is smiling, right? Because I feel like not 100% there, but halfway there to where I know I raised a child that will not do drugs, right? Because she's voiced that. She does not like the way cigarettes smell. She does not like alcohol because if I'm at a function and there's, wine or something, I'm like, here, taste this. She doesn't like it.
Nice. Okay.
That may change later on, but again, we'll have those conversations in moderation, right?
You guys have that open dialogue, a relationship where she feels comfortable to tell you things. And I've heard you on the phone with her. I can hear how much you take care of her, how much she loves you back. You're definitely a great cook. Help me make rice. I heard your daughter laughing at me because I don't know how to make rice. That's all right. I figure it out. That's why I call you. Anyway, but nah, man, I love hearing you on the phone with your daughter. It's just beautiful listening to, and then you show me the pictures of the certain things that she has going on. Your broke best friend. You take care of her hard. So respect to you.
That I do.
Respect.
So I don't want her to have to work to pay for her own stuff. Even though she's 16 right now, I want you to focus on school. You know what I mean? Let me worry about everything else, right? I'll buy your clothes and all the other stuff. I pay your cell phone bill. You know what I mean? My parents wasn't doing that for me.
Right. Got you.
Back then, there was no cell phones.
Right.
We had beepers.
Right. Word. 911. Call me. Word.
But she does appreciate the work experience, when she's has done SYP and stuff, so I feel so far I've done a great job raising her to be the young woman that she is now and the young lady that she's going to be molded into later on in life.
Nice. So it's beautiful that she gets to be molded by you. Speaking of molding our children, you witnessed what you witnessed in your household. Do you think that had any effect on your dating decisions and the people you chose to share your love with? You and I have had conversations about your child's father and things of that nature. Can you tell the people a little bit about that situation?
So let me answer the first part of your question. So growing up with parents that drink a lot, yes, it has influence with who I date, right? Again, an occasional drink is okay, but I don't need you to come around and be drunk all the time and for my daughter to see that, right? Because I don't display that to her, so I don't need you to display that to her. So if anybody that I come across, if that's their choice, fine, that's your choice or what have you, but we can't move past it or what have you. You know what I mean? And if he was to slow down, then yeah, maybe that's another conversation that he and I would have. But off the rip, if you drink every day, I couldn't deal with that.
I understand.
Or what have you. In regards to my daughter's father, the relationship is non-existent. It was a painted picture because he also suffers from an addiction, and I kind of got out that situation when my daughter was 3 months, where I was like, I'm not dealing with this.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And when I say I'm not dealing with this, I'm just not dealing with you, right? In living together and having to subject her to seeing this or whatever. But by all means, you can come by and see the motherfucker whenever you want.
Word. Was that a hard decision, keeping them separate? I know it was necessary, but did you have to really fight your feelings to keep them apart, to do what was best for your daughter?
Well, it was really the opposite, right? Because I wanted him to be around when he was sober. You know, when you weren't under the influence, right? Come and spend time with her, you know. But once she was able to talk, there was a lot of stuff that she would tell me that he would do.
Okay.
Right? A lot of dumb stuff, right? With him and his friends and things of that nature, which I didn't appreciate, you know. And it wasn't just that. It was like I felt when you would take her that you were just acting as if her babysitter because you didn't have any money to feed her. So I would have to make sure I supply Pampers, I supply wipes or extra change of clothes and give you money to feed her. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, when are you going to be dad and stuff, you know? And that kind of went on for a while, and yeah, I was bitter. I blocked it. You know what I mean? I'm like, don't call, don't do nothing or what have you for a little while because, again, I'm in my feelings. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants to raise a child by themselves, right? But the more that the thought process went along, I wanted her to make that decision for herself to whether or not she wanted to have that relationship with her father. She doesn't know that he has an addiction. Okay. Right? She just knows that he's been to jail a couple of times. Right. You know, and I just didn't want to open that box for her. Wow. Okay. You know, but I left that decision for him and her to kind of make, whether or not they were going to be father and daughter, you know. And it wasn't until she turned 9 that she didn't want to have anything to do with him. Okay. Like, he would call. I would give her the phone, you know. She didn't want to talk. You know, everything was, I'm like, Mimi, your father's on the phone. You want to talk to him? No, thank you. You know, to where she doesn't ask for him. You know, I mean, to this day, I still reach out to be like, yo, what's up, bro? Oh. You know, like, what's going on? My daughter just turned 16. I took her away for her 16th birthday. We did the whole hoorah. She had a photo shoot. You know what I mean? Like, not a dime. Birthdays come, Christmas comes, nothing.
Completely single parent. I understand.
Nothing, you know. So I think we're okay. You know what I mean? She's okay. She knows that I got her. You know what I mean?
I felt that.
And my brother, her uncle, is there. You know, she started driving. I'm like, she's not driving my car. Let her drive your shit.
I hear you, sis.
Let her drive your shit.
Yeah, I hear you, sis. Kudos to your brother. Word. That's what's up.
You know, so he's instrumental with her with that. But other than that, we're good because I got her.
Respect.
You know.
Do you feel like since, you know, your child's father, with the newer relationships, are you building healthier relationships? And not just on an intimate level, like friendships. You know, we've talked about the importance of really knowing who your friends are and things like that. Do you think you know how to build healthy relationships, or do you still struggle with that? Or have you gotten to a place where it's like, I know she's good for me, he's good for me, or nah, you can't be in my circle?
So I'm learning, right?
Respect.
And it's a process that I'm trying to deal with, because I'm trying to get back to that place where trust was easy, right? Or to where, like, you know what, I'm not really dealing with it compared to just shutting it out entirely, right? To build a healthy relationship, yeah, I know how to build a healthy relationship. Do I want to be involved in one?
That's fair.
I mean, she's getting older now, you know, so it's like, I need to start thinking about that for myself, right? And then I have to think about who I'm bringing her around, right? Because I need to know you before I introduce or just bring her period around my house and my comfort zone, right? Because now you're entering my world with my child or what have you. So there's just certain things that as a person I just won't tolerate, you know? And that kind of goes both ways or what have you. So, but I'm learning.
That's all right.
It's a process.
Day at a time. You're in recovery too. You hear me? Like, this is definitely healing is recovery, and it's a thing that's going to happen daily. But you're doing it. You didn't lose yourself, you know. And you, like you said, you got your daughter and doing a phenomenal job. What are some of the goals that you see for you and your daughter? But like you said, for you, you mentioned possibly dating in the future. Where do you see yourself possibly in the next 5 years? I know you mentioned something about education. What about that are you looking into?
So I've already started the process of my KSAC.
For the people who don't know what a KSAC is, let them know.
So a KSAC is a certified substance abuse counselor. And the reason I've been playing with this idea for the past
Come on, girl.
10 years. You know what I mean? Like, people are saying, just do it. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. You know, but I think about my daughter, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, who's going to cook for her? Who's going to pick her up from after school at the time?
The scheduling.
And yeah, you know, so it's kind of that. So I feel like now I'm in a different position where she's older, to where now I can take some time out to kind of focus on this goal to further my education and further advancement within the field that I'm in, right? Not just in New York, but if I decide to leave New York, I still have that credential that says that I'm certified.
Get that money, girl. I ain't mad at you. That's what's up. I respect it. Again, you're always bringing it back to your daughter. How is it going to affect her? Even when you're talking about trying to take these classes with scheduling, it's always surrounded around your daughter. What do you feel like you didn't get as a child? What didn't you get as a child that you needed? What do you think that you missed out on that would have made T's life just a little different, even a little easier?
I mean, maybe a little bit more coaching, right? Because I look at my daughter at 16, and then I look at myself at 16. I was in the streets.
Outside, I got you.
You know, we was outside, you know, not so much into the boys and stuff, but I was outside, you know what I mean? Like, I had friends that were already smoking weed at that age, you know. I had friends that were getting shot in the streets, right? Because they were selling drugs and they were hustlers and things of that nature or what have you. But just maybe more patience, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like once you become a parent, you need patience. Children need grooming, right? The do's and the don'ts, right? There's no book on it, right? You kind of just wing it, right? But you teach your kids and you groom them to be better than you, right? That, for me, that makes sense. So I teach my daughter and I groom her to be better, right? Look out for certain things, right? Not everybody is your friend.
Respect.
I'm your only friend.
Respect, girl. If I'd have listened to my mama, you know what I mean?
And that's what it is, right? Because I don't expect her to listen to everything that I say. But hear me, right? Hear what I'm saying, because at some point in your life, you're going to hear it again, right? It's going to repeat, because it's going to be like you just said, damn, I should just listen to my mama,
For sure.
right? But because we're kids, and even as an adult, we still do what we want to do because we want to do it, right? You want to poke that bear. Let me see how far I can get away with this. Let me keep pushing until you get caught.
Poking the bear. I keep on hearing that phrase. I don't want no smoke. You know what I mean? So, and we as addicts, we do a lot of talking. We as people in recovery, recovery, we do a lot of talking. Hence the reason for my podcast. I like to talk. I got something to say. But I can always take a step back. What do you want people who are addicts or in recovery, what do you want us to stop saying and start hearing? What do you want us to close our mouths for a moment and listen up and take in?
If somebody is offering help, listen to what they have to say, right? Sometimes it's really for your best interest, right? And just take it into consideration, right? A lot of things is just that simple, right? Again, I don't know what it's like to be on the other side, and everybody's conversation looks different, right? When it comes to that, right? I can't tell you how to live, right? The one thing, I guess, right, is to say, yeah, I'm going to put it down. I'm going to go to rehab today, and it doesn't happen, right? And I get it because you're not there yet, right? And you may never get there. But what can I do to help you get there, you know?
Do you think that you speak like that and you have knowledge like that because you're in the field? Like, had you never stepped over into social services, do you think that you would even have the knowledge to think? Because as a person in recovery, like, before I had my situation, I didn't think like that. Even working in the field. Like, I had been in the field for some years, and I still, I just was not empathetic to specifically alcoholics because I just didn't get it, right? So I'm asking you, before your time in the field, or had you not ever stepped over into the field, do you think that you would have that same mentality?
To be honest, yeah, right? Because I like to help people, right? And again, a conversation, like you say, you like to talk. So let's talk about it, right? Let's kind of see what I can do to help you, right? That's kind of how when I have a boyfriend, we have these conversations. If you're going through something, well, tell me about it, right? What can we do? And things of that nature. But if this is like 16-year-old Tanaya, I probably wouldn't understand it. But again, taking me out the field that I've been in for so long, yeah.
You still would. I love that. All right, sis, you've shared so much. You've been so transparent. You've even given me a different perspective on things, so I definitely appreciate that. Before I let you go, would you please share your final thoughts with the child who is currently in the situation that you were in so many years ago, the child of the addict, and share to the person who is suffering from addiction, who's the parent? What do you want both sides to hear right now?
So to the child, I want you to know that it's never your fault, right? You are not your parents, right? It's not your fault. You will be better. You will be stronger. It's going to take time, but you need to focus on you, right? To the addict or what have you, just be mindful. Again, right? Be mindful that people have feelings, right? Whether or not you are verbally abusive or whatever the case may be, right? People see the change in you, right? And as a child, you don't understand that, right? As a child, you kind of get scared because you think something is going to happen, right? Even as an adult, you know, you still worry about your parents or whoever in their addiction, you know, because you never know when it's time for them to go.
Ooh, girl, that was deep. That was deep. Thank you so much for sharing it just like that on Raw Recovery, keeping it raw, keeping it real. Respect to you, respect to your daughter, blessings to your family. Going to keep you and your family in prayer. And I don't want this to be a draining thing for you. You know, I don't even want to say a repeated cycle because we said you broke that cycle, but you continuing to stay strong for your mother, and we respect that. All right, and again, thank you for coming on the show. And we are done for today, and we will see you guys next time on Raw Recovery.
Yeah.
Peace.